You're live.
Thank you, Christina. I would like to welcome everybody to the San Ramon City Council meeting of July 28th, 2020. Madam Clerk.
Prior to roll call, the city attorney would like to make an announcement regarding the teleconferencing of this meeting.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The procedures adopted for this meeting meet or exceed the standards set forth by Governor Gavin Newsom's order number N-25-20, which allows public meetings like this one to be held by teleconference to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Madam Clerk, please conduct roll call, and I would ask the mayor to recognize me afterwards to confirm certain matters for the record. Thank you.
Councilmember Hudson.
Aye.
Councilmember Alone.
Here.
Councilmember Perkins.
Here.
Vice Mayor Zafar.
Here.
And Mayor Clarkson.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, if you wouldn't mind, could we confirm that the city attorney is wearing a Santa Claus tie? Is that what I am seeing? Just since we have to talk to him anyways, I'd like to confirm
these
that.
are school seals and not Santa Claus. Thank you for caring.
Yeah. Martin, go ahead.
I would now
Yes.
like to verify that all members of the council can hear me well, that all members of the council have been able to hear all previous speakers, including the roll call, and that each council member believes, based on facial or voice recognition or otherwise, that the persons representing themselves to be council members are in fact council members, including council member Alone.
Yes. Maybe.
Yep.
Thank you. Seeing no evidence to the contrary, I will turn this back over to the mayor, and with the reminder that all votes must be taken by roll call. Thank you.
Will do, Martin. Christina.
Item 2, Pledge of Allegiance.
I'd like to call upon Councilman Alone to lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Phil. Madam Clerk.
Item 3, announcements. 3.1, changes and additions to the agenda. There are none this evening. Item 3.2, if you would like to speak under public comment or any item on the agenda, please click the raise your hand button at the bottom of your computer screen or *9 on your telephone. Item 3.3, boards, committee, and commission meetings. There is a complete list of all upcoming meetings that is on our website, and you can subscribe to those pages for instant notification. Item 4, public comment.
Public comment are for items that are not on the agenda. And we welcome anybody from the public to address the council and the rest of the city on any topic for up to 3 minutes for an item that is not on the agenda. Do we have anybody who has raised their hand, Christina?
There is no one that's indicating by raising their hand, but I do have one written comment for this item.
Let's go ahead and go with the written comment.
So the first comment, or the only comment, is from Jim Blicken's staff. The huge CWM plan will need the full 5 hearings allowed for public review, including a public hearing before our elected official on the city council. Right now, there appears to be only 3 planning commission public hearings scheduled for planning and decision. In the middle of a pandemic crisis and limited public involvement, this minimalist approach to deciding on such a large and impacting project is unacceptable. It is essential that the CWMP is heard by 5 council members so that our elected representatives will be the ones to make the final decision as to the benefit or harm this plan will bring to residents of San Ramon. It's a critical determination as to the post-pandemic effects on the city's ambiance, visual aesthetics, community services, traffic flows, commute times, parks, and schools, all essential elements bearing directly on the residents' quality of life. Your decision on the City Walk Master Plan will tell us whether this plan is to bring 10,000 more people into the city, will ultimately be a benefit or a detriment to our city, but especially to our residents. Please agendize it accordingly. Thank you.
Christina, has anybody raised their hand?
I do have one request to speak, and that is from Luz Gomez.
Thank you.
Good evening, council members. This is Luz Gomez, long-term resident of San Ramon. Good to see you tonight. Wish I was there in person. I'm sure we all wish we could be there in person, but I'm calling in, zooming in tonight to let residents who might be tuning in know that this coming Tuesday at 7 p.m. is a very important planning commission meeting having to do with the City Walk Master Plan, as the previous commenter mentioned. So I would encourage residents to participate in the Planning Commission meeting that's happening on Tuesday, August 4th at 7 p.m. And that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Luz. Has anybody else raised their hand? Christina?
That was the only request to speak.
All right, I'll go ahead. Let's please close the public comment. Next item.
Item 5, consent calendar.
The consent calendar are items that are deemed routine in nature, but anybody from the audience, staff, or council person can ask for an item to be pulled for discussion. Is there a motion?
I'll move 5.1 through 5.7.
Second.
Christina, who did all that? The public?
Councilmember Hudson's who I heard first.
No, it was Vice Mayor.
Okay, he deferred to the vice mayor. We have the first and second. Any discussion? Not seen, apparently a hand raised. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Hudson,
Aye.
Councilmember Alone,
Aye.
Councilmember Perkins,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Zafar,
Aye.
and Mayor Clarkson.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes 5-0. Item 6, special presentations, there are none. Item 7, deferred consent items, there are none. Item 8, adoption of ordinances, we also have none. Item 9, city council appointments, there are none this evening. And item 10, approval of minutes. Item 10.1, before you are the minutes from the city council meeting, a regular meeting from July 14th for your approval or amendment.
Is there a motion?
I can move.
Don't all jump at once.
Second.
Christina, I think Vice Mayor and then Councilman Perkins for the second.
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I'm going to abstain, Bill, since I wasn't there.
Okay. Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Councilmember Hudson,
Aye.
Councilmember Alone,
Abstain?
Councilmember Perkins,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Zafar,
Aye.
and Mayor Clarkson.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes 4-1 with Councilmember Alone abstaining. Item 11, unfinished business, there is none. And item 12, new business. 12.1, public hearing resolution number 2020 next in line, confirming Building and Safety Services Division statement of expenses for unpaid fees and fines and directing the city clerk to forward a certified copy of the resolution to the auditor/controller of Contra Costa County. Staff report by Vance Phillips, Chief Building Official.
Hello, Vance.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Vance Phillips, the Chief Building Official. I'm here to ask will we conduct this hearing and consider any protest or objections that may, any revisions or corrections as necessary, and to continue the hearing to August 25th, 2020. To take additional testimony and adopt the resolution levying special assessment for unpaid fees and fines. This is a process the city uses to collect past due fees and fines related to property maintenance violations and work without permits. And also this project, this time through also included public works projects that have been unpaid. This is covered under the municipal code for collection of assessments for building and safety related nuisances and violations. June 25th, our process included notices to owners. So on June 25th, all property owners received notices. The intent to levy a special assessment and notify them this hearing tonight. The exhibit does include a list of the people that are expected to be fined. That list has changed since our original notice. Some property owners have paid or have entered into a payment agreement. So the list is getting smaller, and often our last time we went through this process, owners did pay up until the last day before we filed the notice with the county. Regarding the public works portion of the fines, engineering department assesses property owners for unpaid invoices related to the sheer cost of replacement of sidewalk and driveway improvements. And this is the city shares 50% of the cost of the replacement of sidewalks if the city crews or contractors make the repairs or the replacements. This is covered by Chapter 22 of the California Streets and Highways Code. Requires owners of lots and portions of the lots that have publicly fronting public streets to maintain their sidewalks. Their process also included sidewalk repair program brochures and an opportunity to appeal before the sidewalk work was completed. So these owners are also on the exhibit. I think 2 of them have paid. So I think there's only 3 remaining. July 15th, we did send out certified letters to owners notifying them of this hearing. And also it was re-noticed on July 24th. The notice was corrected. So extending the actual, continuing the hearing until August 25th. These are the old, there are some, these are fines from, there are some older fines, I guess, on the list. Our process in the past has been to record notices of violations against properties, and when they're sold or when they're refinanced, they're often corrected and the fines are paid then. We've moved these forward as a result of our automation program that we are implementing, and instead of writing a program to bring these forward, we're moving through the process to just have them paid, and then we're not going to have to worry about them in the future, and or taking time to have staff write a program to include them in the new system. So at this point, the recommendation includes continuing the hearing unless there are any questions of me.
All right, with Councilman's permission, can I go to a public comment first and then go back to questions? If that's okay. Christina, for folks who would like to comment, is there anybody who'd like to raise their hand on this particular item?
For those in the audience, if you'd like to speak on this item, please use the raise your hand button or *9 on your telephone. It appears we have no request to speak.
All right, I will then close the public hearing. Questions? Martin has a question.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, rather than closing the public hearing, as staff has asked, that you continue the public hearing.
Thank you.
Allow those that have other that do have objections to the assessments the opportunity to protest those at the next hearing.
Thank you. We will continue the public hearing until the next item. Thank you until the next hearing.
Thank you.
Who had a question? Did Scott?
Vance, just a short question. Does this show up on the property tax bill, or does this show up as a lien on the property? Which is it?
Okay, so it'll be both. It will show up on the property tax bill for the payment of the fine. If the violations still exist on the property, they will still be on the title or recorded against the title as a violation. However, to correct that or remove it from the title, they will correct the violation and it'll be done, but there will be no further fees or fines related to that, unless it was related to work without a permit and they did the work without a permit and haven't completed it. Then there will be fees for the permits for it. But other than that, this will take care of all the fines related to it, but there still may be items recorded because the violations still exist.
Okay, so just paying the fees and fines doesn't clear everything if there are still code violations or unpermitted work.
That's correct.
Sabina.
Do these accrue like do they get added? Does a number get added to them as they are sitting there longer and longer, or they kind of stay the same?
They could, but so if, all right, so yes, they could, but we don't unless it's something that's, we get a lot of complaints about, or that's really a violation that could be a hazard. But if they're, and I don't have an example, but I guess if it's something that is quite noticeable or that we do get complaints about, we would continue to fine them. If they are just unfinal permits or structures that are located in the wrong place that we know will get corrected and they're not too big of a concern of people, then we just leave it. And again, it usually corrects itself when they try to sell it or refinance. And
So we
go
don't
through
have
the
any
process.
specific guidelines around which one would accrue a bigger fee versus which one would.
And all right, so well, I don't know, but our fines are for building code related violations are 100 for the first occurrence, 500 for the second violation, and technically $1,000 a day for each violation after that for building code related. And then our nuisance related, they're 100, 200, and 500. And the 500 is technically every day by ordinance. So
Also, we do have an
Yes,
ordinance.
all right, so staff tries not to use that as a heavy hammer tool to get things done. But again, when we get the complaints, we pursue them more aggressively. When there are things that are not noticeable but need to be taken care of, we don't pursue them as rigorously or as aggressively.
Okay. So we kind of use discretion and see what's.
Yes,
Okay.
put me on the spot, yes.
Seeing no further questions, we will at this stage move the hearing to the August 25th. Martin,
Yes.
and there's no need for a vote.
Yes, if you would vote to
Move it.
hearing to
Thank
August
you.
specifically.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Can I get a motion to continue the item?
Vote to continue the item
Thank
to the August 25th meeting, is it?
Yes.
I can
Thank you.
second.
Second was Sabina.
Yep.
Roll call vote. Councilmember Hudson is abstained or is absent. Councilmember Alone.
Aye.
Councilmember Perkins.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Zafar
Yes.
and Mayor Clarkson.
Aye. Councilman Hudson had recused himself, he said.
Thank you. The motion passes 4-1. Item 12.2, resolution number 2020-075, authorizing the Public Works Director to file an encroachment permit application with the California Department of Transportation for the installation of I-680 Freeway ground-mounted directional signs to identify the city of San Ramon's downtown. Staff report by Steven Spadowski, Deputy City Manager.
Good
Hey,
evening,
Steve.
Mayor and members of the council. The item before you is a resolution requesting the installation of freeway signs directing drivers to downtown San Ramon. Caltrans requires that agencies requesting signage on state highways adopt a resolution supporting its installation. The sign installation will be completed by Caltrans at the city's cost under an encroachment permit issued by Caltrans, and that cost is $5,000. The process for the permit submittal and installation is expected to take approximately 6 months. Enhanced signage for downtown San Ramon has been planned for many years. The Economic Development Strategic Plan calls for enhanced signage, and Discover San Ramon has identified the need for additional signage in the area as well. And what I'd like to do at this point is share the screen. I did prepare a very quick Photoshop of what it may look like. Now, this is a disclaimer. This is just myself driving northbound on 680 just before Bollinger, and just after the sound wall, I snapped a picture. So Caltrans will determine where it's appropriate, but this might give you an idea of what we're talking about in terms of what the sign would look like. So it will say downtown San Ramon and next exit, coming from both directions of the freeway onto Bollinger. And with that, I'd like to end my very brief presentation and see if there's any questions from the council.
Well, Dave has one.
Yeah, I almost wanted to get silly and say if there's do what we usually do to Robin during the GADS and just approve the darn thing before the staff report. But it was actually kind of nice to see that, Steve. Has anybody given any thought while we're doing this to have Caltrans change the populations on our signs that have been there for like at least as long as I've been on city council? I mean, they
Gotta
just
wait for the census. You do?
Which one, Phil? I've been waiting since
2020, well, why would we do it now?
2000.
No, it's from, I mean, why not wait a year, right?
I because it takes a year for them to put it up. But I mean, the reality is that other cities have done it, and maybe this is just a simple ask that might get it done. But I don't know about you guys. It's something that's annoyed me that they never change those darn signs, and you know, it can't hurt to ask.
Sure, and maybe as part of this application, and there's Maria.
Maria got me.
Oh,
Otherwise,
Maria,
I move the resolution.
I
No, I
think there's
will move the
something coming.
resolution. 2020-75.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. So we have changed the population signs before. It's been more than several years. The process to do that is a lot simpler than what we're doing tonight. So it's just a matter of contacting Caltrans, just applying for a quick request, and then we put it in. It might take probably 3 months is the last time when we did it. It took about that long. So as soon as we get updated numbers, we can switch that out at that time.
Maybe it's a personal thing, but how many people have driven by, well, they don't even know what Candlestick is now. But how many times you've driven by Candlestick and the population's 810,000 in San Francisco? When I was in high school, it was 810,000. They haven't been 810,000 in 40 years.
Dublin says 49. I figured they weren't asking, but you know.
Make a motion
Bring
for
us
you,
back,
Stephen,
Scott.
but nobody's seconded
I'll
it.
second your motion, by the way.
All right, seconded, Scott.
Dave will appreciate this. Mike Szymanski from the Danville Town Council used to say, I was told to come to downtown San Ramon for a meeting. I drove around for 20 minutes, couldn't find it, and went home. And he used to say that practically every time we'd meet. Well, poor Mike, you know, he died far too young, but Mike would appreciate, we ought to put this down on the bottom, Steve, is the Mike Szymanski Memorial sign. Maybe. But
Sabina.
That's a good idea.
thank you very much for doing this, Steve. And can't wait to vote yes.
Sabina.
I just say San Ramon has arrived.
Yeah, it doesn't say that our historic downtown though, right?
They have to go the other direction. Other side of the road.
No, thank you for doing this. I think this is awesome. I was getting jealous of some cities without a downtown, saying downtown. I'm like, come on. Right now in the Tri-Valley, we're the best downtown. Right?
I agree. Second that. All
Well,
right.
when it opens, we will be.
In all this banter and conversation, I've forgotten if we've had public comment yet. I don't believe we have. Christina, let's open up for public comment.
Again, for those in the audience, if you'd like to speak, please use the raise your hand button or *9 on your telephone at this time. We have no request to speak.
Thank you, Christina. We'll close the public comment. Madam Clerk, seeing no further discussion, let's go with a roll call vote.
Councilmember Hudson,
Yes.
Councilmember Alone,
Aye.
Councilmember Perkins,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Zafar,
Yes.
and Mayor Clarkson.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes 5-0. Item 13, city manager comments.
Okay.
Good evening. So not many comments tonight. Just like to state that we're continuing to monitor the COVID-19 health orders. We continue to have our parks monitors check all our parks and all our fields and rentals to ensure that they are in compliance with the health order. And we will continue to do so throughout the rest of the time frame of the order. We were looking at moving more of our employees back into the city offices. However, at this point, with the state of where we are with California and the Bay Area, we're going to continue to monitor that and continue with a hybrid model of working remotely and some key personnel at the city locations. Other than that, that's what I have for tonight, and I'll give it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Joe. Madam Clerk.
Item 14, public comment.
This is our second public comment section. It's for anybody who has not yet spoken a public comment on any item that's not on the agenda. Has anybody raised their hand?
I do have one request to speak.
And we ask that those who address the city council keep their comments to 3 minutes or less, please. Thank you.
Thank you. The first or the only comment is from a phone number. So can you please state your name prior to stating your comments?
Hi, yes, my name is Pooja Rajkumar. I'm a constituent in San Ramon. I was concerned about the lack of people who are wearing masks while I'm out on the trails here. I know that if you're not within 6 feet of someone, you don't necessarily have to wear a mask, but a lot of these trails are very heavily trafficked. And even though me and my family are wearing masks, I come into contact a lot with many families, the majority of whom are not wearing a mask. I've been hiking in other areas in the Bay Area, like Fremont and Castro Valley, and I've noticed that a lot of those cities have signs encouraging people to wear a mask. I was wondering if it was possible to have some sort of a sign put up at these heavily trafficked locations to encourage others to wear a mask to slow the spread of COVID-19.
Thank you very much. As a point of order, this is because of the Brown Act, we're not permitted to respond as a council because this item was not agendized. But we clearly have heard what you've said, and we appreciate that. I apologize that we can't make comments back as a council, but we can always circle back around to you, okay?
Okay, so what is the next steps from here?
You're absolutely, if you want to contact any of us by email or staff by email, we can then get back to you. But because of the Brown Act, we cannot as a council respond and give direction.
Okay, all right, I will be reaching out then.
Oh, thank you very much. It's all on the website.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Madam Clerk, anybody else raise their hand?
That was the only request to speak.
All right, we'll go ahead and close the public comment. Next item.
Item 15, city council members and mayor's comments.
I'll start with Scott.
Okay, the MCE, or Marin Clean Energy, the power company for about 95% of San Ramon, had a board meeting recently. Let's see, we have, as you might expect, the power demands from residences are up, commercial areas are down, and the total is down about 4%. So the load overall is down about 4%. Spot prices for electricity are also down. So we're doing fine. We voted to transfer 7.5 million of our revenue to an operating reserve fund. This reserve fund is a little different than most reserve funds in that it is a reserve fund at the top line of your income sheet. So it's a reserve at the income level, not at the bottom line. And so in the future, if we have a significant drop in revenue, or we have an unexpected rise in prices, we can use that reserve to mitigate that throughout the entire thing. So we moved $7.5 million. We had $18 million to work with. So the other $10.5 million did drop to our bottom line reserve. So it's a top line reserve, and it helps smooth out the rates in bad years. So that was the major activity of the month. We're going to have a board retreat in September to discuss future priorities and things like that. So MCE is in good financial shape, and we expect to maintain that. We are seeing a rise in our delinquent accounts, but we have plenty of reserves to cover that.
Thank you, Scott. Dave.
Yeah, it's nice when the air conditioner kicks in here. Don't have to wear this tie. Very interesting letter I'm looking at from the PMA. Probably get some further comments, I hope, before our group that is on methodology, like I believe Amy Worth and Julie Pierce are at ABAG. The six alternatives that Eric Figueroa pointed out, I was happy to see at least that San Ramon is better off than Walnut Creek, though I don't see how anybody's in great shape. The oddity to keep in mind is they're pitching that this 441,000 plus homes that will be throughout the entire Bay Area in this sixth cycle is like double the number of what we've had to do in the past. Be aware, this Bay Area, especially the NGOs, are coming out that number is extremely low and they want it doubled or even tripled because we're that far behind in housing. So this is going to get ugly. If the city's going to take a position of which one we want, we probably are going to need to discuss it quickly. I kind of like that blueprint allocation if we can get it to lower number, but I would hate to be in Walnut Creek trying to figure out where in the heck they're going to put 4,000 or 5,000 homes. It's not in the cards. So this could get interesting in the next 4, 5, 6 months, whatever it's going to take them to come up, they being ABAG, the methodology for the next cycle. And stay tuned because there's going to be a lot of screaming.
Thank you, Dave. Phil.
Valley Link held our regional rail authority trying to bring rail to the San Joaquin County from the Pleasanton BART station. Had received about $49,000 from Metropolitan Transportation Commission to get through its environmental impact report and other such things. Also, they were, after some lobbying to MTC, it is on the if it's ready to go, pre-2035 potential funding cycle. So that was all good news. They weren't initially on that. So it continues at a reasonably good pace. The city of Tracy is in the midst of seeing if it can essentially hand over a sizable parcel for a maintenance yard in downtown, near downtown Tracy. So some developments there, and it's going to be a tough project to get through, especially with Scott Haggerty leaving, but they continue to work hard at it. And certainly people on this side of the hill have put a lot of money along with energy into it. And I think San Joaquin County's starting to look to how to apply more money to it. So that's the update there.
Thank
Point
you,
of
Phil.
consideration before we go on to the big shots. Phil, is there any way we can get a presentation of what this is so we can show people this is the line or this is kind of what we're doing? Because you hear
Sure,
about it,
I'll reach out to Michael Tree, Dave, and have him send something to all the council members and, or I'll send it to the city manager and he can send it out to everybody.
Great. Sabina.
Well, I was just looking at the COVID numbers. San Ramon is only number 2, 192, out of 100,000, which is number 1 is Moraga. They're small. So I just want to thank everybody. We've really done, as a community, done a really good job of following rules. I know, there are people who are, kind of breaking the rules or being a little lag with the rules, but as a community, I think we've done really well. We're even 100,000 below Danville. I know we always like to compare that. That, and then, so interestingly, I think, Kathy, the youth website has come up now, because I've been getting on almost a daily basis, and maybe some of you have also seen, a lot of students and kids in our community are just starting these organizations, putting up websites. Some are making cards, some are just helping different communities. So Kathy and her team, saw that and put together a website to highlight all these young people that are putting up all these different organizations and things like that in our community, which is, shows they're leaning towards something positive. From traffics, myself and Councilmember Hudson, we were both there. So we got a bit of an update from the school district, where the schools are, not going to be opening, at least in the next 4 weeks. Traffics is the traffic mitigation bus service that we provide as kind of a regional body to our residents. And so traffics is all based on what is going to happen with the schools. However, we are going to continue that program because, at least for this year, so that if we do, open up schools in another 4 weeks or something like that, we have the option to provide that service for people who will need that service. It is well funded. We're not digging any of that money, pulling out of the reserve. So it has funding, zero out of the reserve. And so it has funding. And so we said, let's continue till the end of this year, and then we'll see what happens. And then the other one is for the Arts Foundation. So all of you before my time approved funding for the Eagle that was supposed to come in San Ramon for the Arts Foundation. This is Brian Keith, one of the local artists in San Ramon, who was actually creating the sculpture. He's raised money through one of sponsor who's given money for the Eagle, and it's supposed to land, one of the largest eagles in California. It's supposed to land in Rancho San Ramon Park. They are looking for funding, so if anybody's interested in donating towards the art, towards this project, there are different levels. You can go to the San Ramon Arts Foundation website. There is a page explaining the different levels of funding that you can do and how to support the Eagle as well. And then my personal best, I did 43 miles on my bike on this weekend, which I'm very proud of. I really took on to biking this during COVID, and I did my 18 miles to Las Trampas, and this weekend my friend decided we wanted to do the entire Iron Horse Trail. So we did the entire Iron Horse Trail end to end. And so that was interesting. It was a little, 85, 90, but I did take a little fall, but that's okay. You have to, that comes with the territory. But we saw a lot of people biking, and it's like I said, it's hard to find bikes right now because a lot of people have really taken up to it. And it's surprisingly easy to bike in San Ramon, except when you're coming up that hill from Al Costa up to Chanterelle. That one gets you. But yeah, those are kind of my updates.
Thank you, Sabina. And one of the things we'd love to do and find a way to accomplish in forward-thinking years for those folks who will be still on council is to find an easier, less steep route to get up that hill, so especially younger people can bicycle from the Doherty Valley and safely get to our new downtown. So that is probably an ongoing discussion we'll all want to have. I just want to take my time briefly through the city manager to express to all of our city employees how much we appreciate what you guys are doing for us during the COVID. It is new challenges. Nobody really has had any training in terms of how to run a city during a COVID crisis. And every department has done a wonderful job, Joe. I know it's difficult when you're not seeing people face to face to manage an organization. And I just want to express to you how we as residents appreciate all the things that you and every one of your department heads and every employee is doing for us. Those who are taking care of our parks, taking care of sweeping the streets. Really appreciate our police department and all the things they're doing for us to keep us safe. And so just my expression that we don't see each other very much personally, but it's important for them to all know how much we really recognize and appreciate what they do for us every day in these tough times. So thank you, Joe. Not seeing any other comments, Madam Clerk.
Item 16, adjournment.
Is there a
Thanks very
motion to
much.
adjourn?
Bye, everybody.
Right.
All those in favor signify by clicking off.